time to talk to a man who could very well create history. This Irish man, in a matter of years, could be living on a different planet. Mars, of all places. Let's get him in here right now. It's Joseph Roach! Joseph Roach! Come on in here, Joseph! Come on in here. There you go.
Joseph Roach. Joseph Roach.
How's it going?
How you doing, sir?
Astronaut.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure.
Joseph, you are part of a group of people who've been selected for a potential journey to travel to Mars, the planet Mars. How has this all come about? It sounds ludicrous. How did you get involved?
It does sound ludicrous, and part of it is ludicrous. And the reason for that is it's an entirely new way of looking at space exploration.
Okay.
So I've signed up with a company called Mars One. They're a not-for-profit organization that are using existing technology to send people to Mars in 11 years.
So that this isn't NASA or the European Space Agency, it's in an independent company.
It is, yeah, using private money, so a completely different approach.
Wow.
And the way they can do it is because they're not going to have a return trip. So the most expensive part of any trip to Mars is the return trip. So they're just going to select astronauts that are comfortable living out their days on Mars.
And you obviously are okay with that? You're okay with just living out your days on a different planet entirely?
Yeah, it sounds bleak, but I think when you're passionate about something, you're capable of doing things like this. And I've spent most of my life studying astrophysics in Trinity College. I went to NASA to work there for a while, and I work for Science Gallery, traveling the world, talking about science. So for me, this is...
So you love it?
Yeah, it's
absolutely love it.
Exactly.
You would be history. I mean, everyone would know your name in 1,000 years from now that you were one of the first people to go to Mars.
Yeah, some people
Incredible.
ask me, would I do it for the fame? But really, I'd be living on another planet for the rest of my days.
Yeah.
I want to be famous on Earth, so
Yeah.
fame isn't important.
Catch-22. But I have to ask, there was about 200,000 people who applied for this. I mean, and you're down, how many is left in the competition?
There's 1,058, and over the next year and a half, they'll be cutting us down to 40 people. And once we reach that number of people, they're going to start astronaut training. So for the next 8 years, we'll be put through astronaut training. And another novel approach they're adopting is to raise the $6 billion they would need.
Is that all? $6 billion?
$6 billion. I know it's a big number, but compared to the other projected estimates for a Mars mission with someone like NASA, it could cost $300 billion, and that's
What?
because yeah.
Hang on a minute. So 300 billion down to
big
6 million. Are you not a little bit worried that they might be, cutting down on necessary things like oxygen or what?
They're not going to cut down on anything that important. What they're cutting down on is the cost of trying to develop technology for a launch from Mars to get people back, because that's the only technology in this whole idea that doesn't exist. We have everything we need to get there and to live there, but we just don't have any way of getting home, and that's the expensive part.
Wow.
Okay, so Joseph, can you tell us, what do we know about this big red planet at the moment? What do we know about Mars?
We know that it's not going to be a pleasant place to live.
This is it here now. It's an incredible looking
It's
planet.
kind of beautiful.
Are those rivers there, I must ask? Is that a river right down the centre?
It's not, no, there's actually no liquid water on Mars, which I guess would be a problem because people do need water. So luckily we know there's plenty of hydrogen and oxygen in the soil on Mars, and we can extract them, put them together to create water.
That doesn't look like... That looks fairly barren there now.
It's pretty bleak. It also doesn't really show you how cold it is. It's about 90 degrees on the surface of Mars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's cold and bleak, and there's only about 38% of the gravity we're used to here on Earth, so it'll be difficult to get
Used to once you're
This
from
is
south.
minus 90 degrees?
Yes.
Minus 90 degrees?
So where will you be living? Will you be making your own house, or how does it work?
We're going to live in a habitat that will be constructed in the years preceding the human mission. And the reason for that is when we get there, after spending 7 months traveling through space to get there, we'll be so weak because our muscles and our bones will have deteriorated that we won't be able to build anything when we get there. So the habitat will be constructed by robotic rovers over the years preceding the mission.
Robotic rovers. Sounds like a robot football team. Robotic rovers! Come on, robots! Come on, the robots!
Who are you?
Can you tell us, what will you be eating while you're there?
Yeah, so the food is an important issue. So we're basically using things that we know would work on Earth. That's the best way to approach it. So there's a thing called hydroponic plants, which are plants that grow with water and a nutrient solution and don't require soil. And then we'll be bringing insects, which we would breed. The insects would eat the parts of the plants we don't eat, and then we'd eat the insects as our source of protein.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must be very serious about this, given the fact that you're willing to live on a barren planet forever eating insects.
Yeah, I mean, that is one way of looking at it. But the other is that it will be the chance to be the first interplanetary scientist living on a planet that we've only ever dreamed of visiting.
And you'll be a
incredible.
fully fledged Martian, I guess, when you're living over there.
Oh, we have to ask, I know everyone's probably asking this, but would you be a little bit worried there might be folks over there who wouldn't be so happy to see it on your ride?
Well, I think one of the key things is we've never discovered methane or any trace of methane, which is a gas that we know would occur if there was ever any life form, any carbon-based life form. So we're pretty sure that there's nothing up there, at least nothing that would bother us. But that's one of the goals of the mission, is to prove once and for all if there is or if there ever was anything else on Mars.
So when's the big day? When will be the leaving day?
At the moment, they're projecting 2024 as the first launch day for humans, landing in 2025.
Wow.
And are you worried maybe, okay, if you do get selected to go, fingers crossed, you're the last Irishman in the selection process, are you?
That's right, yeah.
So what if you don't get along with any of these other people, I suppose?
Well, I think I'd like to think I'm pretty easy to get along with. I'd worry that they might not deal with my terrible jokes and the fact that I ramble on about science.
We love you. So you're excited? Anything you're worried about at all heading off?
The big thing, I guess, will be saying goodbye to friends and family. That's something that I can only imagine will be difficult to deal with. But I mean, there's plenty of people around the world that have to make that choice, and they go to live somewhere else and know they're never going to see their family again. So it's just something you'd have to deal with.
Hey, we wish you the very best of luck.
Thank
you so much for coming and chatting to us.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
The very best of luck to you, man.